During the summer of 1975, I was a 21-year-old college student at Reed College in Portland, Oregon. And my senior year was coming up. I needed to write a senior thesis. I was a history major, so I decided to write about this Tulsa race riot that I'd heard of as a kid. And I came home and I had just a devil of a time finding any information. Records were missing. There were these sort of saccharine accounts of things. It was very hard to find photographs, but I finally found one that showed the destruction of Greenwood, and it just looked like Hiroshima or Nagasaki. And I couldn't figure it out until the day I interviewed my first massacre survivor. He was a man named W.D. Williams. He was 16 at the time of the riot. His parents owned the Dreamland Theater, which sat 750 people. They owned a 3-story brick office building, a confectionery, a car garage. They lost everything. But, that man, W.D. Williams, he was in all the right places at the right time. And it was at that moment that what happened for the riot, for the massacre, finally made sense. In the late 1990s, I was hired as the lead scholar for something called the Tulsa Race Riot Commission, which was a state commission to study the massacre. And they wanted me to do some research, and I was trying to figure out what to research because I'd done a lot of work in the past. I knew where records were not. And I decided that there were two things. One, to try to see if we could get a better handle on how many people died in the massacre. But the second was to see if we could find where these unmarked mass graves were. I had a wonderful team of folks, including top forensic people, also wonderful volunteers. We interviewed over 300 people. We determined 3 areas in town where we're convinced that massacre victims were buried in unmarked graves. That first effort was shut down due to political reasons after 3 years. And then in 2019, the current mayor of Tulsa asked me to restart the investigation. We've been at it for 2 years. And this past October, we discovered a mass grave in Oak Lawn Cemetery in Tulsa. And this week, we began exhuming the remains that are there. The reason that we're searching for the remains of these massacre victims is because they were buried by the white authorities while their loved ones were being held under armed guard. Their family never knew what happened to their brother, their father, their neighbor, their son, their daughter. They were never told where these people were buried. They were literally thrown away. And I think it's incumbent upon us as a society to try, they're all murder victims, to try to figure out who they are if we can using DNA and other technology. But they need to be buried with honor and they need to be memorialized appropriately. And the reality is, I love Tulsa. I love Tulsa to this day. It's my hometown. I love coming back, but sometimes the great gifts you give is that you give people the truth, and that can be painful.